It's that time of year again. Happy holidays, season's greetings, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. I'm your host, Deontay Brewer, and this is another edition of Reflections. As always, I like to shoot a holiday show and just remind us to reflect and be thankful for this present season, the past holiday seasons, and what's to come. So once again, thank you for joining me on this holiday edition of Reflections. Hi, as I mentioned earlier, today is a holiday theme episode of Reflections. I'm your host, Deontay Brewer, and I just want to thank you all this year for watching and listening and supporting and for your words of encouragement. And so I hope today, this last show of the year 2022, you take something away and learn and perhaps share from others. Today, I want to speak on, or today I'm going to speak on gratitude. And according to the dictionary, gratitude is the quality of being thankful and readiness to show appreciation for and return kindness. And in this world today, it's hard to find, people who are gracious or who show gratitude. People are always expecting and wanting things in return, but it's really hard, when for someone to show gratitude or to be grateful, especially in times like this. This year, 2022, we're currently in the middle of a worldwide inflation where prices, on food and, other material goods, have not been as high in 40 years. And so you have people that just constantly complain. Within my other job, I deal with the public on a daily basis, and you have people come in here and there always complaining about, the price of food and, oh, I've never seen it this high, and it just doesn't make sense. And instead of being grateful that they have the funds to buy the food, their attitude, precedes them. They're negative and upset about how much it costs. And so it struck my heart several weeks ago, graciousness, or being, showing gratitude. I wanted to speak about that today in light of there's been a lot of national tragedies. Uvalde occurred earlier this year in Texas. Innocent children were murdered in an elementary school by a violent gunman. My heart just goes out to those families. This year, right now at Christmas time, the children are gone. And so those of you parents that have children, be grateful and thankful that you have children, to hug and to kiss and to share the holidays with, because those family members in Texas lost children. And I also remember reading, I believe one of the fathers had a heart attack. His wife had died. He was the father of one of the children. I believe the wife had died, and then he ended up having a heart attack. It affected him so much, with the death of the child and then the wife, and he died, so just very, very sad situation. I know also recently, Uvalde occurred, I believe it was in May maybe, or June. It was earlier this year. Recently, there was a shooting at a gay club, I believe out west, maybe Colorado. Gunmen just came in and, there were people celebrating the holidays. I believe it was around Thanksgiving, and just started shooting. Another senseless act of violence. And now family members, are now having to have the holidays without those particular people that have passed away. And so it's just always, we should always just reflect and be grateful for what we do have. There was one more, Idaho, which struck me. Four roommates, they'd been friends for many years, college students, two males and two females. They were killed. Looks like someone just broke in their home and just murdered them. There was no motive. I was like, why, would someone do that? But every day across the world, there are senseless acts of violence. And so we always should just be grateful and thankful for what we have, because when you wake up, you never know, what to expect. And so I like that attitude, or I'm sorry, I liked the definition of gratitude and being gracious. I've always been a person that have been very thankful, for what I have. I was taught that at a young age, to be thankful. Don't take your home for granted, and don't take the food for granted that we have in the car, because my mother and father would always say that there's someone else that doesn't have those things, and you should always be grateful. And another, lesson I learned, charity begins at home. You share and give, to those less fortunate, or even people, that, maybe of the same status of you, but don't have at the moment. I can remember my mother and father, if they learned that someone they knew was in need, an adult, at the family, they would, give money or whatever the, whatever the need was, they shared. And, they didn't like, us to run around and tell people that, they gave to that person. It was just done from the heart, and, with no expectations in return. And I think today, so many people, you'll like to borrow money from someone, and, people will harp and be over your back, until you give the money back. Sometimes people just can't, give it back. And so we must always remember, to share with the less fortunate, and just have a heart and an attitude, of graciousness. And I think it's just important to, teach children that, when they grow up, it's just not a good look or behavior to be selfish, and to hoard things for yourself, because there's always gonna, be someone that's in need, that needs something. And, even as you grow into a teenager and young adult, I mean, you may still live at home, with your parents, or with a guardian, or with a grandmother or grandfather, but there's always people that are in need. Speaking of grandparents, my maternal grandparents, I lived with them for many years after I graduated from high school. And my grandparents were middle class, and they worked, for many of those years after I lived with them. But they weren't the world's richest people, but they were always, my grandmother always, if she knew someone from church or the neighborhood, she was always, helping someone out. My grandfather, would give rides, to people, take them here and there and pay their bills and to the store. He would stop what he still does that to this day, and so I learned not only from my parents, but my grandparents, it's better to give than to receive, is what they would say. And charity begins at home, and just be thankful, to have an attitude, of gratitude. And there was, I can honestly say, there was never a day when, my siblings and I went hungry, or, when I was living with my grandparents, after I became of age, that, we didn't have food, or I didn't have, clothing, or, shelter. And it was because of God's goodness, His grace, and His mercy, for blessing me and blessing those around me. And so just with the state of the world today, I am a person that I love social media. I love to get on and not just to see, what others around me are posting, but you learn about the world, when you learn what other people, are thinking. And it just amazes me, people, will litter social media with their wants and desires, and, what they received from this person. And but I often think, well, what have you done for others? Have you thanked God, for what you have? Have you, are you teaching your children, or other young people in your life, to give, and to be thankful, and not just to think, that you're owed things. A lot of the younger generation today just have this attitude that they don't need to work hard in school, or they're starting out working, they want fast money, they don't want to work. And it's very sad, because once upon a time, when my parents were growing up, and even the generation their parents, hard work was taught from an early age, especially within the African American community, because we have lived, through slavery and Jim Crow, when you were taught, that our forefathers didn't have much, didn't have really anything. What they had, it was taken from them. Black people worked, slavery for many years, and we know that they were owned by, Caucasians. And then with Jim Crow, as second class citizens, you were sharecroppers, and what you did make, the overseer or the owner, who was typically a Caucasian family, they took your earnings, and so we learned that, our people didn't have much, so be thankful for what you do have. I learned that growing up. I can remember the stories of my grandparents, maternal grandparents, and, telling me that they had to pick cotton, for a living, and they couldn't go to school all year, and so they would tell me, to be thankful, that you can go to school, and, that your house, or apartment has heat, and so I carry that, with me every day, of my life. And today, young people, African Americans, just seem to forget that, that not too long ago, we couldn't go to school, all year, or the money, the parents made, was taken, or they were cheated, and if they spoke up, they could be even killed, and so I think people today just forget that. Young people forget that. And hard work, working in school, doing the best you can in school. And, if you don't go to college, to get a job afterwards, people want to take the easy way out, and I think that's to the detriment of society today. People aren't teaching, their children, the benefits of hard work. And the internet, sadly, is raising lots of young people, as well as television. They're addicted to, shows that depict people, living a fast life and selling drugs and doing this. And it's just not the way to go, people. It's not the way to go. One must always, value hard work and education and be grateful, and you may not, and I'm not saying that, life is going to be easy, because, your parents are middle class and, you have both parents in the home or one parent in the home that's working, because I know lots of people that struggle with both parents in the home or one parent, but, those values, those morals and values, will carry you through your life. And you will always find a way to survive and thrive. I'm a living witness. I just recently graduated from college, after many years of being in college and out of college, because of life situations. And my present job, I'm thankful for it. It has taken care of me for almost 7 years, and I was a person when I was younger, like I said, I lived with my grandparents after I got out of high school, and so I didn't have to pay rent because they own their own house. And boy, I was at the mall every week, buying this and that, and, when foolishly, you get your first credit card at 19, and, I had to since learn, after I got on my own and start paying my own bills, and rent and a car payment and car insurance, you can't go to the mall like that. Those trips come few and far between, because those immediate needs, rent, and utilities, that stuff is, you have to take care of that first, but you budget, when you learn the difference between a want and a need. I was a person that loved nice clothes and jewelry, when I wouldn't think, I would just impulsively see it. Oh, I gotta have it, when not to say it wasn't fun, because it was fun, but now I've learned, 15 years later, 10 and 15 years later, that there's a difference between a want and need, and I'm thankful for what I do have, and so and I learned, as my mom taught me, to mix and match your clothes up, so it looks like you may not have a lot of clothes, but if you pair them, pair a shirt with a different pair of pants or jeans, whatever, it looks like you have different clothes, and so just those, I'm thankful, for those life lessons, from my mother and, my father, the things that he's taught me, to be strong and to, be aware of your surroundings and, watch the energy in a room, and speaking of my parents, and my siblings, my sister was married within the past week or so, and we have a new member of the family, our immediate family, my brother-in-law. I have an attitude of gratitude, or I'm very thankful for my new brother-in-law, who's a teacher, and he's educated, and he loves my sister, who's also educated and smart and beautiful and very spirited, like her big brother, and so we're just thankful. The wedding was very nice, and you could feel, outside of my sister's dress and his tux, and even what I had on, because I was in the wedding, you could feel love, in the room, and that energy, when the speeches, how thankful they were that they found each other, and that was a theme. Gratitude found its way in that, and so I'm just thankful, for my family, my immediate family, my mother and my father and my two brothers, and my sister and my two nephews, and now my new brother-in-law. My brothers and I bonded, and my nephew, we all rode together in one car. We didn't take our separate cars. We got a chance to bond and reminisce, and it just felt good to have family that week of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was nice. We had some company come in from the East Coast, and, it was really nice to see my godmother and her daughter and, her daughter's children again. And we had family over, and the food was delicious. Oh, what stands out is my mother's turkey with all that celery at the bottom. I tell you, I must have ate about 1,000 pieces of celery. And then my aunt brought, she knows that I love her gravy, and so her daughter, my cousin, had made a roast, and I just ate more, on top of that, and my plate looked like a little mountain. And so Thanksgiving was nice, but then my sister's wedding just kind of topped it off. And now with Christmas coming, we just, have to remember, to be thankful and grateful. I'm thankful to be able to come into your homes via Access Fort Wayne. This is, as I reflect, as I reflect, this is the third year where I've been able to come into your home and share my reflections. I'm so thankful for the Access staff and my producer, who I've worked with for 3 years. His expertise and knowledge, in broadcasting has helped me tremendously, and all of the people over him, they all work together. Access is such a wonderful feature for the Fort Wayne community, and all the assistants and, producers and people that help. I'm just thankful and grateful, because my voice wouldn't, be able to hit the airwaves like this. So, Fort Wayne, I'm thankful for my city of Fort Wayne. At times I can be very irritated with Fort Wayne, and it's not moving fast enough for me, but I'm thankful to live in a city that's vibrant with history. Lots of, history, lots of German history and lots of Irish history. And, the African American community certainly have built, community and history here. And, the Asian, community, we have, Asians and just to be multicultural, with all this history and culture, people, we can learn from each other. It's time out for being so divided. Oh, because your beliefs are different in this and you do this differently. No, I've learned that we all have a lot of the same needs and wants, and we should come together. And after coming together, help one another out and be grateful and thankful. You can do a lot. You can do a lot, united, instead of a lot of different people on their bases divided. And that's what the world needs to know today. With all the issues going on in the Senate and in government and the Democrats and, when the Republicans and I heard I was at work the other day and someone was complaining about this current administration and how it's the worst he's ever seen, certainly you would hear a lot of that here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, as it is a Republican town. But I'm thankful, for the presidency, in this current administration and what he's undertook, what he inherited, and what he has, done with what he's inherited. I'm hoping the student loans that goes through, because I have some debt that I want cleaned up, if not eliminated, but cleaned up, reduced, should I say. But I'm thankful, for government and the way I may not always agree with how it run, but there's men and women in place, to influence. And so I'm thankful for America, to live in a country with as many freedoms as America has. I may not always agree, with how my people are treated, but I wouldn't want to live any other place in the world. And so I just wanted to remind, my viewers and listeners, if you don't remember anything else I've said, take some time out today. And, if you have to write it down, write some things down but just, be reflective and be thankful for what you do have. If you haven't talked to a parent, or a sibling in a long time this holiday season, call them and just say hello. The conversation doesn't have to be fake. Let what comes from your heart come out naturally and just be gracious that you have them. If you're having problems in a marriage or, parents with your children, pull that person aside and just speak from your heart. If you feel unloved and unlovable this holiday season, do something for yourself, or make sure you surround yourself with people that do love you. And just always remember, to be grateful and thankful. Again, I want to thank you all for going on this journey with me another year. I always encourage you all to be bold and be you and be blessed. God bless you all this holiday season. Take a little time to enjoy the view. And when I say that, I mean enjoy what's in front of you. Thank you for always listening and watching. Take care now. Until next time. Bye-bye.